G'day guys, welcome back to the Rugby League Guru podcast or Rugby League Guru YouTube if you are watching. If you are on the podcast, come over to the YouTube, hit subscribe. We're putting up weekly videos, probably 3 or 4 every week for you guys to check out on YouTube. Now, over the last couple of weeks, been plenty of rumours about Ruben Garrick, obviously the Manly Seagulls left winger. As soon as Turbo goes down, though, he shifts into the fullback role, and I think he's been pretty impressive in the fullback role over the last couple of weeks. Last couple of weeks this year, but also last year as well. He played a heap of fullback there, obviously, when Turbo was down injured. So I can understand why Ruben Garrick does want to make that move there, but personally, I think he's such a classy winger that I'd sort of be hesitant to make that move. I've always said that I would rather have the best winger than a pretty good fullback, and I think I'll always stand by it. Matty, welcome, mate. What are your thoughts on Ruben Garrick, mate? Where's his best position, first of all?
How are you, Guru? Look, he's an elite winger, an absolute elite winger, and he's a good fullback as well. But it's obviously not as simple as that, is it? Because if he's getting to answer I don't want to jump the gun too early, but I'd prefer him on the wing, but I'd also wouldn't like to see him sacrifice dollars to not play fullback because he probably deserves to play fullback somewhere. But we'll get into that. Yeah,
and as Matty's alluded to, a lot of moving pieces here. Obviously, he can't be the first choice fullback at Manly. They've got, on his day, potentially the greatest fullback our sport has ever seen, Tom Trbojevic. So there's no way that he can jump into the fullback role there. So he either stays out on the sting for Manly, or there's been a lot of speculation around him moving to the Newcastle Knights. Now, Newcastle Knights, one team that is not short on a fullback. They've obviously got Kalyn Ponga in their squad. He's the skipper of the club. We've seen him play 5'8" before. I'll give my opinion on it in a second. But, Matty, KP playing 5'8", we've seen it a couple of times. We've heard the Darren Lockyer comparisons. We've heard it all before. We've seen it all before. What are your thoughts on it?
At face value, I want him to stay fullback for those reasons. We've seen it before. Look, it's Kalyn Ponga. He's more mature now. He's a better player now. I'm sure he could go to 6 and kill it, and he probably will, to be honest. But on face value, if you take out every circumstance at the Knights, I want him to stay fullback. But the situation that the Knights are in, is it better to have both Garrick and Ponga in the spine? I would say absolutely.
And this is where it gets tough. I agree with you, Matty. Are they a better team with Garrick at fullback and KP at 6 instead of someone at 6 that's in this squad? They just let Jake Clifford go as well, so he's not going to be there. You're probably looking at a Tyson Gamble in the 6 with maybe a Clune, and then KP at 1. I don't know. You're obviously better off to have as many superstars as you can in your spine. But for me, mate, has KP not shown that he is an absolute elite fullback? I think it's probably more so Newcastle need to look in the mirror, because every single time KP has played fullback over the last few years, not in a Newcastle jersey, he fucking kills it. State of Origin, he played Game 3. He was the best player on the park for me. I thought he was Queensland's best throughout the series. Paddy Carrigan got the Wally Lewis medal, but, mate, personally, I would have given it to KP. I thought he was fucking tremendous during the Origin series.
Yeah, totally agree. I think he should have won the player of the series. I think you're right. I think this isn't a Ruben Garrick problem. This isn't a Kalyn Ponga problem, because, as we just said, Garrick probably deserves to be a fullback somewhere to get fullback money. He probably deserves to get more money than he's on now, for sure. He's shown that this year. But also, I'd like to see him stay at Manly, because that's where he's kind of played all of his career so far. Ponga, without a doubt, he's a fullback. Without a doubt, he's a fullback. I'm sure he can go 6. But this isn't their problem. This isn't to do with Ponga or Garrick. This is 100% a Newcastle Knights problem. They got no halves. They need someone else in that spine. And they're shape-shifting around how we can get the most people in this spine. My number one priority would be Luke Brooks for the Knights. But as I just said, this is a Knights problem. I don't know what to say other than that. Whether Ponga should go 6 or stay at 1, blah, blah, blah. Ponga's best position is fullback. It's the Knights' fault they don't have a good halves pairing.
Let me ask you this. If you had the option to sign either Luke Brooks or Ruben Garrick, now, if you sign Ruben Garrick, it means you move KP into the 6th spot, but it also means you don't have a halfback for KP, which is a serious worry for me. You've got Clune there, But I don't know if Clune showed me enough last year that he can be the halfback steering this team around. You've got Tyson Gamble. I think we can all agree bloke's a great player, not a halfback, not the sort of guy KP needs next to him. Or would you rather take Luke Brooks into the team, put a Tyson Gamble at 6, which is probably his best position, and then keep KP in his best spot at fullback? Brooksy or Garrick, which one would you sign?
It's more a who wins more, not who's better player.
Yeah.
I think everyone wins if Brooks goes to the Knights. I think the Tigers win because that is just a marriage that should have been divorced years ago. I think the Knights win.
Can you tell that you have to listen to me a lot or what?
Yeah. The Knights win because they get to keep Kalyn Ponga at fullback, and as we said, Origin last year, he's shown he's amazing at one. You get Brooks coming to Knights. Like if he does want to change, we're assuming he does, but if he does, he gets to play halfback. The Knights win because they get a very good halfback and an elite fullback. And Ruben Garrick's 22? I don't know how old he is, but he's young. He can if he really, really wants to play fullback, there will be a lot of opportunities come up in a few years. I think the Knights need Ruben Garrick more than Ruben Garrick needs the Knights right now. I think Ruben Garrick has time on his side. I like Ruben Garrick in a Manly jersey, but he's shown this year he can play fullback. So if he wants to play fullback, I wouldn't rush into it. I would, to answer your question, I think everyone wins if Brooks goes to the Knights.
It's an interesting one. And just on Luke Brooks too, I mean, here we are. It's the 31st of October. It's November 1st tomorrow. Tomorrow, Luke Brooks, Adam Dewey, Jackson Hastings can all negotiate and sign elsewhere. We haven't heard a peep out of any of those three. So there's a lot of dominoes that are about to fall in this competition, and this is just at these two clubs. Very interesting. Now, Manly have come out and said that they have offered Ruben Garrick a contract for the next 4 years that would match any money that the Newcastle Knights could pay. I would question that. I would question if the money they're paying him to play left wing could match the money that the Newcastle Knights are offering him to play fullback. I really do question that. But
I question that as well. But if that's true, I'm staying at Manly. 1,000,000%.
Oh, 100. If it's true, 100% staying. But I've also got no idea how Manly know what Newcastle are willing to offer this guy realistically. The other thing they've said is that they would allow him to play centre to get him closer to the ball. Now, we spoke about it last week with Kempy and with Timmy about what's more important now, centre or wing. Now, if you would have said to me 15 years ago, we'll let you play centre, different conversation. Yeah, the golden era of centres when you talk about the modern era was probably 10 years ago with your Gasniers, your Coopers, your Hodges, these sort of guys. For me now, I think if I was playing for Manly, especially with Turbo and these sort of guys, I think I would rather be on the left edge. The other thing you've got to consider, and Matty, I'll hand this over to you.
Yep.
When we've seen Anthony Seibold with a good footy team, the left wing is pretty fucking good real estate, isn't it?
I will have to research this, but I think it was Robert Jennings scored about 20 tries on the left wing for South in that 2018 year. I think it was Jennings or George. I forget which Jennings it is. But yeah, I'd definitely be staying on the wing. The argument last week was Campbell Graham. And I think the one reason two reasons Campbell Graham is playing centre and not wing is because A, he's an absolute motherfucker in defence at centre and South kind of need that. And B, we don't really have many people, much depth in the back line. So I think that's why Campbell Graham isn't on the wing. But yeah, if I was Ruben Garrick, I'd be sticking on the left wing for sure.
I'll tell you the other thing for the Manly Seagulls that will become interesting. If they do happen to lose him, I'm just thinking off the dome, mate, who would be their goal kicker? Are we probably looking at DCE?
Well, he kicked from them early in his career.
It's pretty fucking bang average, though.
Yeah, he wasn't his best.
Dare I say, I think if Manly are going to compete for a top 8 spot, they're going to have a lot of fucking close games next year. Ruben Garrick's one of the best goal kickers in the competition. Not that that's the be-all and end-all, but it does become very important. And not that it probably overly interests you, Matty, but also the domino effect of this would be for us Supercoach players. I think KP would lose the goal kicking.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, 100% he would. Yeah,
very quickly make him very irrelevant. So there's a lot of moving pieces to go in here. Now, KP.
Sorry, just from before, I looked it up. I don't know why I get mixed up between Robert Jennings and George Jennings all the time. We've never had George Jennings, but yeah, Robert Jennings played for South in 2018 and scored 19 tries on the left wing.
And he was on the left wing and was AJ at fullback?
AJ was at fullback, yeah.
Yeah, right, okay. Pretty handy. especially when you compare AJ to Tom Trbojevic, what he's capable of doing as a ball player too.
Yeah, crazy.
Scary. Now with KP, if they do happen to sign Garrick and move to 5'8", we have seen this before. I don't like it. My biggest concern with KP is over the last years, he simply hasn't played enough rugby league for a lot of head knocks and everything. Matty, I think they would be mad to shift him into the front line. He becomes one of the great targets in rugby league. I'm not saying he's a bad defender. If anything, KP's too brave for his own good. But teams will go at him all the time. He'll be forced to make 25 to 30 tackles.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if they can afford to put him in those sort of spots. Even if he's playing fullback, I'm saying, mate, hand off to Dominic Young as much as you possibly can. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, that's another fantastic, valid point that I didn't immediately think of. But yeah, that's probably number 1 point, and close to number 1 point wide rather than at fullback. He had what, 5 or so head knocks this year. The Knights have to look after KP because he's their man. He's their marquee player and more. So, if you don't have to make him make 20, 30 tackles a game, I certainly wouldn't be.
Does Manly release, does the Newcastle Knights releasing Jake Clifford, does that indicate to you that one of these two guys will be going there, you think?
Yes. I immediately thought Luke Brooks. Immediately, yeah. I didn't immediately think of Garrick because I probably should have, but I just think Luke Brooks is a better fit for all. Yeah.
It's an interesting one, isn't it? Because that Luke Brooks to what we were saying before off camera. I recorded a podcast when this rumour came out about Luke Brooks going to the Newcastle Knights. I recorded a podcast, just giving my live reaction to it, my thoughts on it. Similar to what me and Matty were doing now. I went to save it. I saved the file as Brooks to Knights ? And my computer said, already got a file saved under this name. It was from a year ago. I feel like this one's just recycled every 12 months. So it makes me question if it is realistic. I mean, you look at the West Tigers. They've released Jock Madden. They have come out and said that Jackson Hastings is going to be playing 13 as well. So it makes me wonder if they're willing to let go of Luke Brooks. He is off contract very soon, obviously, but to get him there next year, the Tigers would have to release him a year early, and it makes me wonder if they're going to be willing to do that, you know?
And you're right. Like, if they didn't release him this time last year, why are they going to release him now?
I mean, this time last year, they had two halfbacks to choose from. They decided to keep Brooks there. This season, they found out, in my opinion, they definitely found out Hastings is the better 7, and they've decided to play him at 13. They've also just let go of Tyrone Peachey, who's probably, a great choice at 13 in the modern game, if that's what you're looking for. So all indications at the moment are pointing to Jackson Hastings playing 13. So I'm not sure if I can see a world where the Tigers just let go of their halfback. Mate, there's so many moving pieces in this one. I'm not sure how it's going to play out. Give me your prediction over the next 5 or 6 weeks, or tell me round 1, what's your prediction of how the Newcastle Knights are going to line up?
I actually have a feeling it's going to be Garrick that goes there. I think it's the Tigers, and they were so reluctant. They're so reluctant to let Brooks go. Maybe we'll see Brooks there in 24, but it seems like if Garrick can get the fullback money, maybe they won't stand his way. When's he contracted until, Garrick?
I think he's off contract the same as the other boys, so he's able to negotiate. No. He must be off contract now, I think.
I'll Google that now.
Yeah, Google it. Because the other way to look at it is that if I'm the Tigers, I have persevered with Luke Brooks for a decade now. I have backed him in at every single turn. For the first time in a long time, they have signed the hooker that might be the missing piece for Luke Brooks. So for me, after everything they've been through, and if they're publicly come out and saying they're backing in Brooks over Hastings, I wonder if the moment they sign Appy, if that's going to, he's the guy that turned the career, well, not turned the career of Nathan Cleary around, but it definitely pushed Nathan Cleary to a brand new level. Nathan's come out and said that himself. If I'm the Tigers, I want to see Brooksy with Appy, I think.
That's another good point. You're right. So I just looked it up. So Brooks and Garrick both have a year to run on their contract.
Have a year to go.
So Newcastle need a release.
Yeah.
An early release of one of them.
Why would either release either of those two guys?
Yeah, I know. Maybe they'll end up with none of them.
Oh, I reckon there's mate, that was going to be my outcome. A lot of noise, a lot of smoke. Fuck all. They end up playing Adam Clune at halfback, Tyson Gamble at 6, and then I think KP stays in the fullback role, which, mate, I kind of hope they do, because I just want to see KP play fullback. He has shown the last few years he's an elite fullback in our game. you just need to get it out of him. And I'm sorry, I look at that Newcastle team, and granted, the halves aren't fantastic. They've got great centres. They've got Bradman Best. They've got Gagai. They've got good wingers. Dominic Young's gone to a new level over the last few months. They've got a good forward pack. They've got three New South Wales front rowers over the last few years. They've got Tyson Frizzell. They've just signed Adam Elliott. There's no reason why this team shouldn't be successful. There's no reason why this team shouldn't be better than a bottom 4 team. They've got Jaden Brayley. I thought the back end of his season was sensational. Granted, he missed a lot of footy last year, but I thought the year before he was one of the best hookers. So in my opinion, they've got a class hooker, got a classy fullback, an elite fullback. They've got Adam Elliott arriving, assuming they'll play him at 13. He's a classy 13. They've got representative front rowers, representative back rowers. Matty, why isn't this team successful? Are they trying to fix all these problems that aren't actually the problem? Could it be just the coaching at Newcastle and what's going on there?
Oh, it's impossible for me to sit here and answer that question because who knows?
Who knows?
There's just a million moving pieces of that club, and you're right. Like I said, they have no halves. Well, obviously, I didn't mean they have no halves. They do have Clune there, who was good at the start of last year, but kind of
no established first grade halves though. Realistically,
yeah, that's what I meant.
Name me another club that Adam Clune walks into and he's the first choice halfback.
Yeah, that's right. But yeah, you're right. With Adam Elliott coming next year as well, they should be better than they are. But I do think they need they need one of these two.
Yeah,
to come. Like I'd obviously rather Ponga at 1, but if they can get their hands on Garrick, I'd be doing it. Even though I'd rather Ponga play fullback.
If they don't sign either of them, are they a bottom 4 team again for you?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, if they sign one of them, can you push them into a top 8 conversation?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah?
Definitely. I had to think about the bottom 4 thing there because on paper, as you said, they've got a good team. It's just kind of what happened last year.
But I'm just going to interrupt you for a second. In saying that, look at the other teams that were in the bottom 4. They're all improving. Gold Coast is getting Kieran Foran.
Yeah.
Tigers are getting Appy, and in my opinion, the best forward of the last 2 years, Isaiah Papali'i. So, I mean, yes, I think they'll improve, but, mate, there's other teams around them that are improving. Then there's teams also that are just slightly ahead of them that, in my opinion, they're probably improving too. Like the Warriors, they're getting a lot of new players. I don't think they'll be too much worse than what they were last year. Canterbury, they could be huge improvers this year. So, mate, it's going to be bloody tough to be able to get out of that bottom 4, let alone get into the top 8, I reckon.
Yeah, they definitely need one of the 2 signings. That's for sure.
It's going to be an interesting couple of weeks, guys. Let us know in the comments your thoughts. Who would you rather see Newcastle sign? Would you rather see them go after Ruben Garrick to play him at 1 with KP at 6? Or would you rather see them go after Luke Brooks? It's been promised to him for so long to end up at the Newcastle Knights. Would you rather see him at halfback, Gamble at 6, and KP at 1? Let us know in the comments who you guys think. Like, comment, subscribe for us, guys. We'd appreciate it.